I'm still not over Davante Adams departing from Green Bay. I ain't over it. I couldn't believe that we decided to trade him. I couldn't believe it. And honestly, Wilton, though, I blame Aaron Rodgers. I think the reason why Davante left Green Bay was because of Aaron Rodgers being so indecisive. Because I think Davante was looking at it like, okay, do I want to play with Aaron Rodgers for 3 years, or do I want to go play with Derek Carr, my boy, who I played with at the collegiate level for maybe 5 years, right, at Fresno State? Or do I want to go play with him for maybe 5 years or 6 years? I think Davante Adams chose, I'd rather go play with Derek Carr, who I know is going to show up each year ready to ball out at a high level. In comparison to Aaron Rodgers, every time the offseason roll around, Aaron Rodgers talk about retiring. It happens every year, Wilton. He always talk about retiring. He never wants to commit. And I think Davante, while Aaron was going through all his tactics, I think Davante felt underappreciated by that Packers organization as well, and they forgot about prioritizing their star receiver. To that you say what?
How many times have we seen Aaron Rodgers do this before?
Yeah.
Several times. And it comes at a point where a player gets in a certain portion of their career, and it's not always just about the money. It's not always just about, okay, hey, I want to play for this particular player or play for this particular team. Sometimes it is. I would say that obviously I don't think he wanted to leave, where he even said that he didn't necessarily want to leave Green Bay or not play with Aaron Rodgers. But it's like you said, you always have to, what I've learned about just life in general, in my life, and even these athletes' lives as well, is that you have to always do what's best for you, because at the end of the day, all of this is a business. One.
Agreed.
Two, beyond that, look at the fact that, yes, he had that chemistry and had played with the quarterback at Fresno State. That's two. And then he wanted to get closer to his family. So if you have a guy in Aaron Rodgers who's not making a decision right away, and it's like, okay, here's something to weigh. I played with him at Fresno State. We have chemistry. I'm not necessarily starting over from scratch. I'm getting a major contract from this. On top of that, I get to spend more time with my family. How many times have we seen players talk about they don't get a chance to spend time with their family? We're just talking about immediate family. We're not even talking about other family members. How many times do we hear that? We hear that a lot. So when you look at that decision, he made the decision that was best for him. Well, were fans upset? Probably so, as they should be. But at the end of the day, all of these decisions come down to understanding how business works. And as someone who's Aaron Rodgers right now, this is possibly some of the reasons why he's dealing with these issues, because his receivers are younger, but it's a choice that he made.
Agreed. And I'll take it a step farther, Wilton. Let's be honest. If you ask me would I rather play in Green Bay compared to Las Vegas, the decision easy for me. It's easy for me.
You got casinos?
Yeah.
Cold weather.
Yeah. Like we got palm trees in Vegas. We got nightclubs. I mean, Vegas, you can literally do whatever you want. Whatever you want to do,
absolutely.
You can do it. So, I mean, honestly, I didn't blame Davante for departing Green Bay for Las Vegas, just from a standpoint of it's warmer weather. It's warmer weather and more to do. So I get it. Like I said, I understand it. I still think Davante Adams, he's playing right now. I still think Davante Adams is one of the best receivers in the NFL.
Sure.
And I think for him too, though, Wilton, he had an adjustment period with Derek Carr because he realized, oh, this ain't A-Rod. Yeah, there's a significant drop-off when it comes to production. And I think Davante Adams realized that too earlier in the season.
I remember during the summer when all the drama was kind of unfolding after the trade had been made, and Davante was saying like, hey, you know, the two quarterbacks are the same and they play similar, but you know, Aaron Rodgers can put that extra zip on it. I'm thinking to myself, when you start the season and when you get in a real playing time situation, you are going to quickly figure out that this guy, no disrespect to him at all, great quarterback, but he's not Aaron Rodgers, but vice versa. You know, Allen Lazard, you know, Christian Watson, they're not Davante Adams.
They're not.
And so it's really, you know, one drops off here, one drops off here. But over time, you would like to think that as each player continues to build chemistry with their particular, in Davante's case, building the chemistry in Las Vegas, and of course, Aaron Rodgers building that chemistry with his receivers in Green Bay, that things will get better. I just don't think any of us predicted that Green Bay would have the lack of success that they've had this year.
I agree. And honestly, like for me, I think we've seen it over the last 4 weeks, Wilton. Christian Watson, the rookie receiver, he's starting to come into his own. He's playing way better. He's caught a touchdown pass in the Packers' last 4 games. And before he got injured, I liked the way Romeo Doubs was playing. So I like the duo with Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, heading into next year. So maybe they can be better offensively, because I don't think we're going to make the playoffs. I hope a miracle can happen, because I do think the NFC is wide open, because anything could happen this year. But honestly, I think the Packers, they have a team that could be successful next year, because they still got Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. And I think that's the strength of their football team.
I think right now I don't have the Packers making the playoffs, but to your point, I do have them I do have them having the pieces that they need to make the playoffs next year. This is not necessarily a team that lacks talent by no stretch of the imagination.
Agreed.
And I think that, again, going back to that point of no one expected them to lack the chemistry issues. Everyone thought that the Aaron Rodgers that we've seen, the MVP Aaron Rodgers that we've seen all these years, is going to be the same Aaron Rodgers that we're going to see this year. And it just didn't work that way. Teams get better each year. Each year, I don't care how great you are, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, any great quarterback, each year you have to continue to grow and get better, because defenses are getting smarter. So what that means is, when you talk about an Aaron Rodgers and the receivers that he has, that means like, okay, when defenses scheme for you, when they plan for you, they're not planning for Davante Adams anymore. They know that Davante Adams is an elite target. They know that they have to scheme for him different. They have to potentially double team him. Or if you're going to have that zone coverage over the top, you got to make sure that it's accounted for. That's not to say that the other wide receivers aren't going to be accounted for, but you may be able to win some of those one-on-one matchups, or some of those zones defenses that you have to deal with those receivers, but it's different.
He's a sports writer at Sports Illustrated, host of the Red Diamond Report podcast. He is Wilton Jackson II. Wilton, let's talk about the NFL MVP real quick. I believe you got Mahomes, you got Hurts, you got Burrow, and you got Tua as well. Who is your NFL MVP so far this season?
I think I'm torn between Hurts and Mahomes. And I think that for me, I think it's going to come down to the remaining portion of the season. I really do. I think that if Jalen Hurts continues to play at the elite level that he's playing for the Eagles right now, and they go into the playoffs hot, continuing this streak, I think he has a really good chance to become the NFL's MVP. In terms of Patrick Mahomes, he's going to be my close second. Obviously, he's going to be in most people's, favorite to win the NFL MVP, and rightfully so, with the work and the body of work and the stats that he's put together this year. But I think my candidate right now at this current point in the season would be Jalen Hurts.
Last question on the NFL, Wilton. Give me your Super Bowl prediction. Give me your team that makes it from the AFC and the team that makes it from the NFC, and who wins the Super Bowl. Who you got? I know it's hard, man. It's tough.
It is. Man. Because what I have not mentioned to you in all of these questions is a curveball. And when I say it's a curveball for many reasons. I'm a Saints fan, but I'm not going to deny and say that I'm not liking what I'm seeing from the Cowboys. It depends on how they finish the season, but I like their chances if Dak Prescott is healthy. As long as he's healthy, as long as the offense is efficient, because I know Michael Parsons can impact a game alone by himself.
Yeah,
I know that. I'm not worried about their defense per se. I'm worried about if Dak is going to be the Dak that we see that's consistent and is firing on all cylinders.
But they ain't been doing it since the 90s, though, Wilton. It's been a while for them, man. Them brothers always come up short. That every year in the playoffs, man, I see the Cowboys and I'm like, they're gonna come up short. They always come up short. That's all I wanted to say, man. They always
which is why I won't put them as my favorite right now.
Okay.
For me, right now, NFC, I'm gonna go with the Eagles.
Okay.
That's gonna be my one in the NFC. In the AFC, it's very tough, but I'm gonna stick with the team that I've been rocking with since the beginning of the season, and that's the Chiefs.
Okay.
But I do feel like they can be booted from that over the next couple of weeks.
Chiefs, Eagles. I love that. Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. I would definitely love that. So let's switch gears. Well, let's talk about the NBA. So it's early in the season. The Celtics are 21-5, and they first in the Eastern Conference. They blew out the Phoenix Suns last night. At one point,
gosh, that was ugly.
It was ugly. At one point, it was up 50. They fresh off an NBA Finals appearance. The Bucks are second in the East, led by Giannis, and just recently got back Chris Middleton. The Cavs, they got a great backcourt with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, and they third in the Eastern Conference so far this season. Who is your favorite in the Eastern Conference this year?
I think I'm gonna have to go with Boston. And okay. I just love the fact of the way Jason Tatum continues to grow, man. Like you people forget that when they made it to the level of success they had in the bubble, like Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown were really, really, really young.
They were
like really young. So to see them continue to grow and thrive, like Jason Tatum is playing at an all-time high right now. And granted, last year it was Boston's defense that was elite, getting them those additional wins down the stretch. Because they had issues where they struggled defensively in the beginning of the season, but then down the stretch, going into the playoffs and in the finals, defense was everything for them. Well, this year it's been the 3-point shooting. I mean, it's been lights out play from Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. And I like the chances with Boston right now. But I also like the fact of a team. I knew when Donovan Mitchell went to Cleveland, like I watched that matchup closely between them and the Lakers the other night. And I like the way Cleveland has been able to, I guess in a sense, remain relevant. Like, granted, they had success last year, made the playoffs when they did, but I just love the fact that they're remaining relevant, and Donovan Mitchell changes that whole franchise. And I really think they could potentially make some noise. Now, granted, that's not saying that they're going to win. I'm not going to put them as the team to win the NBA Finals, but at the same time, I like what they're doing so far in the season. And the season's still young.
Yeah, for sure. Now, for me, Wilton, I'm more of a fan of players in the NBA, not teams necessarily. And I'm a fan of Jason Tatum, and I love the way Jalen Brown has ascended this year. And to your point, remember that one year they got to the conference finals against LeBron. Now, LeBron beat them in 7 games, but I thought the Celtics were the better team than the Cavaliers were. It's just the Cavaliers had the best player on the planet, and LeBron James wasn't going to go down. And I thought that was a great experience for Tatum and Brown. And to your point, they went to the bubble. They lost in the conference finals again that year to, I think it was Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. Because remember, they lost to them. And they have been knocking on the door for the last 4 or 5 years. And I thought last year, getting to the NBA Finals, gaining that experience, going up against Steph and the Warriors, it's going to help the Celtics as we get later into the season and get close to the playoffs. Because I love, like you said, the way they can shoot the perimeter shots with Tatum, with Brown. They got White. They got Grant Williams as well. And at some point, they're going to get Robert Williams back. And he's a great rim protector for them.
They have the perfect balance of scoring as well as role players that know how to play their roles. And I think that experience that they had playing against the Warriors, really just the playoffs last year in general, they had to go through a tough Eastern Conference stretch just to even get to the finals. I think that experience is going to really help, shape them as they continue to go throughout the season and even into this year's playoffs.
I agree. Let's transition to the Western Conference. We got the Golden State Warriors. They struggled out the gate, Wilton, and 13-13 so far, 10th in the Western Conference. I like the way the Pelicans are playing. They are 16-8 on the season. And then you got the Suns at 16-9. And then you got the Clippers that still got Paul George and Kawhi. Nuggets still got Jokic and Murray. I think Luka is a top 5 player in the NBA. Who do you believe are the favorites in the Western Conference?
Well, right now, the way it looks, and you just alluded to it, I'm looking at the list of standings right now. You have the Pelicans at number 1, the Suns, the Grizzlies, the Nuggets, and the sleeper team that everybody, I'm sure, is sleeping on is the Sacramento Kings, which I would sleep on probably the first 2.5, 3 weeks of the season.
Me too.
I mean, think about it. When I hear about the Sacramento Kings or I think about the Kings, I think of all the legends that played for them. The Peja Stojakovic, the Vlade Divac. Like, I'm thinking that's the
Chris
last
Webber.
time in my mind that they were like truly relevant. So to see them, being in the spot that they are right now, again, very early in the season, but I like the pieces that they have. They have a young core that's constantly continue to get better. But the one team I still feel like that's going to essentially make it to the finals, I know they started off rough, but I'm still keeping my chances on the Warriors.
Okay,
I really am. I just cannot bet my money against Steph Curry. I can't.
Okay.
Right now. I mean, now I will say this too, though. I am very intrigued by the Pelicans. I like the way that they're playing. I like the way that they move the ball. I love the way. Shout out to Zion for the way he came back. Being in a dominant space, and then some of the young players like Jose Alvarado, like people underestimate his ability. Like dude can go, Then you have Davante Graham, can also go. Herb Jones, like he, if I want somebody to defend on my team, I want him on my team. And then of course, the obvious Brandon Ingram, a bucket can go get one at any point in time.